Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent.
Hey guys, welcome back once again to Forever Better Academy podcast. Now, how you spend your time can be costly, right? So you can always make more money, but you can never make any more time. So I want to go through this today in a little bit of depth because it's one of those valuable tools and lessons that was provided to me. And once I truly understood and grasped the concept, it forever changed my approach to how I use my time and how conscious and more aware I am of the value of my time in itself, right? So when I was young, like I'd say just about all of us, right? There's no real concept of understanding. You assume that, you've got forever. Your life is just, this wonderful and joyous experience of trying to learn the environment around you and understanding what you're up against and what it all means and how to interpret it. And in doing that, it takes a lot of time to develop and understand and grow into yourself, right? Now, I look back and I guess at that point where you get to a point where you realize, none of it is really wasted. It's all experience. But most certainly there are moments that I look back on and knowing what I know now, very much feel like I wasted a lot of time in my youth. So just foolish, childish things, like when you're a kid and you're mucking around and you're out partying too much and drinking and running amok and just not going home and doing all kinds of foolish stuff and truly not understanding. But you've got to go through those things, right? To experience and understand and gain the lessons and have the perspective and the concepts that life is trying to give you, right? Now, ultimately, my intent, and I'm sure the intent of many of you listening and watching is the same, being that we want to be productive and make the most of the time that we've been granted, right? So, I know I want to use this gift that I've been given to be the most creative and effective and have impact and ultimately having me exist make a difference, right? This is a precious gift that we've been bestowed with. What am I going to do with my gift of time, right? What are you going to do with yours? And that's pretty much the journey, right? We all try to figure out what our purpose is, what we want to do with our life. But if we distill that down and really analyze what the true question is, it's how do we want to spend our time, right? That's what our life is. It's a period of time, and it's ultimately up to us to decide the best way to use that time that we've been given. So one of the challenges that comes along with this is really, until we all instinctively learn and understand the value and importance and the scarcity of our time, we can often unknowingly at the time take other people's time away from them, right? It's probably the simplest way I can put it. Now, if you think about countless times where you might get in a silly argument or waste time over something that's not even going to matter in 5 days, let alone 5 years or 5 decades time, right? You won't even remember it. But sometimes we get so caught up in emotion or the experience of what's going on at that very point in time that we don't stop to sort of separate ourselves and think outside that. And that's one of the most challenging things I find, especially, or at least for me, I find it difficult, but I know it's a skill that I must learn and improve upon, and being able to step out of the feeling of a moment and observe what's actually occurring, and make a decision or a choice that's more calculated and structured rather than driven by emotion. Now, it's a skill in itself, right? And there's, at least in my experience thus far, I haven't met a great deal of people that are effective at this, and the people that are most certainly very effective with their time and very well-rounded and structured in their approach, and almost meticulous, methodical with how they do things, and they maximize their effectiveness of their time, right? Now, you're always going to experience demand for your time from other people. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. And most certainly giving your time to others is one of the most beautiful and wonderful things that you can do to ultimately show someone how much you value them, right? If you think about time being your most valuable resource, the scarcest resource we ever have, that right now is just second by second gone, never coming back, right? And to know that, and to take some of your time and offer that to others, is probably one of the greatest things that you can do. And sometimes you'll find people that don't necessarily appreciate or truly understand what it means when you give time to them. Sometimes become selfish with your time, or expect more of it, or just, take a little more than you might like to offer, right? As was one way to put it. And you're always going to face that challenge, right? I know, especially as I've gotten older, it's been an interesting thing where I try to dance this fine line of balance between being impatient versus being patient with people, because I feel like I have less tolerance of people who want to take my time or waste my time with frivolous and foolish things that aren't moving us forward, both together mutually, or at least one of us in an equation, right? But yeah, you have to be almost protective of your time in a sense, right? There's very much when you have a scarce resource, you have to take care of it, right? If you're so willingly spending your time just, like you've got an abundance and never-ending amounts of it, before you know it, it's gone, right? This is a finite bank account we have here in the time, right? And this is what I mean when I say, how you spend your time can be costly, because there's a far greater impact and cost with how you utilize that time than just the seconds that you waste, right? What could you have done with that time? That's the key, really thinking about the approach and how you utilize that time. It's easy to think, I'm just, binge watching some shows on Netflix, and, a few hours have passed. Yeah. Sometimes we need to just unwind and relax and do nothing, and use our time to recuperate and just, relax into our lives and do nothing, most certainly. But there's times where we could use our time more effectively in better ways, or get more value for our money, so to speak, right? If we're spending time, are we getting the greatest return on our investment? Are we sinking that money, using money in an exchangeable term for time, right? If we're spending our time, are we getting good return on our investment of that time, or are we just losing that time, right? Because it's all transactional. It's how life works, right? Ebbs and flows, energy transfers, right? Time is no different. Now, if you know that, like, how much more value do you get from your time if you, let's say, spend an hour a week at an old age home, talking to the people that live there, and helping them, giving them company, but you're getting so much richness from these stories and the experiences in their life from so much age and wisdom that can be shared with you. Like, that's a good use of time. It's a good investment of your time, right? Now, compare that or contrast that with watching people complain on TikTok. Like, how much value are you getting from that? Are you becoming better because of it? Are you perpetuating negative stereotypes and ideas and concepts? And, it's important to consider the stimulus you're receiving too, right? Because, as I say, it's a transaction, right? It's that transfer of energy. Now, using your time, you're spending your time well, and you're getting a good return by enhancing and building upon yourself and improving yourself and becoming more than you could be, versus dumbing yourself down or have you ever heard the saying, garbage in, garbage out? And this is exactly the concept I'm speaking of, right? If you're filling your mind with dopamine hits and just shock value and just this like clickbait intense rubbish, you're filling your mind with crap, and your mind becomes crap. There's no other simpler way to say it. How you spend your time can be costly. There's a greater cost beyond just utilizing and losing those seconds, is what I'm trying to get at, right? Now, you have to invest large amounts of time before you become resourceful with your spending, right? Now, this is important too, I think, to stress is anything that you start, you start at the beginning. You're not great at it yet. And how you spend and utilize your time is no different, right? So when you start, the return is going to be lower than, when you're 10 years in and you've learned how to master the use of your time and be the most effective and spend your time in the most efficient and effective ways. You're going to get a greater return. But you have to invest a lot up front for those returns down the track, right? It's all compounding. It's interesting. One of the things that I'm learning and experiencing as I grow and go through my journey is seeing the common patterns and systems that exist within the universe across multiple levels, layers up and down and across and through different realms, that can be utilized in various ways. And there's key set rules and principles and patterns. I talk about the tools, techniques, and principles. These are those things. Now, when you get better and more efficient at utilizing your time and spending it well, that comes with the knowledge, because you've gone through it. You've spent that time to learn that lesson. So there's an additional return on the investment down the track that you might not realize was coming, right? And it's not until you've wasted sufficient amounts of time that you realize the true value of the time that you're spending, right? And it's a funny thing, because, like, as I'm saying earlier in the podcast, I regret wasting so much time on my youth. But then if I really think about it, I couldn't possibly know the true value of the time that I possess now, the time that I have remaining now, unless I had done that. So there really isn't any regret. It was all part of the plan, right? All part of the process that had to occur. So naturally I could have started sooner, which is kind of why I do these podcasts, because I want to share these lessons so that you don't have to wait into, your 30s and 40s to learn these lessons. Or even if you're older than that, like it's never too late to learn, right? We're breathing, we have opportunity, there's moments, there's still time to be spent effectively. So when you go through, spending your time, using it up, wasting it, when you start to see the returns that come from how you use your time and how your life is shaped because of it, you understand that time is the most precious commodity that we have, and it's not to be squandered, right? It's just, you can't get back a wasted time, but you can make back a wasted dollar, right? There's so much focus on the financial aspect of it, and ultimately, it's important to build that wealth and support your family and yourself and provide yourself security, opportunities, and freedom. But if you really think about and go levels deep, why do most people want lots and lots of money? It's not just to buy a whole heap of crap, it's to buy time, right? We're buying our time back. We're buying our freedom. If you think about the money and time, well, rather the time invested to make great sums of money, say through, your business or investments or whatever you've chosen as your vehicle. When you get to a point where you have money coming in, whether you get up and go to work or you don't, you've bought that freedom for the day, right? Like, you can do whatever you want. You want to go to the beach and go swimming with your kids, or go and have a picnic with your husband or wife. You have that freedom. And that's what it truly is, right? And that's time spent. That's precious moments, right, together. That's what it all comes down to. And you have to plot a course of action so that your time can be used effectively. Like, one of the things that I was an important lesson for me going through as I was younger, I really didn't structure or plan things well, right? Now most certainly more so I do. Very much I'm a methodical person, and I'm structured and ordered in my approach with virtually everything. But it's, how do I explain it? There has to be a clear and concise plan mapped out with where you are, where you want to be, and then the steps and stages and actions that need to occur, and by when, for you to meet that deadline, that goal, that ambition that you're chasing, right? So that's the only way to use your time effectively is structure, right? You can, like a good example, right? When I was making music, there's the craft of it, right? There's the mastery, there's the art form itself, and as an artist, diving in deep and being in the zone and just being creative and letting it, come out of you, and just this flow of wonder and creativity. It's a beautiful experience, and it's only a portion of it, right? There has to be more of a, maybe I'm not explaining well, but let's say when I spent my time just making songs and writing every night, or creating art, or drawing, or just being creative, it was nourishing to my soul, and you get lost in those moments, and it's wonderful mastering your craft, and that's the first stage is getting good at something, right? But you can't just do that every night with no plan of why you're doing it or what the outcome is to be from doing it, if that makes sense, right? And I think that comes as you get a little bit older and you start to realize the time you've invested in that skill and becoming good at something, how are you going to use that thing to help other people, right? And I think that's really the steps, the stages, those progressive points in your life where I feel like they're very, very almost inevitable steps that most of us go through at certain points and ages in our lives. And when I was just making songs and doing that, it was enjoyable, but without any intent or plan behind it. That was a huge part of why I know now that I didn't succeed at the level of, or that capacity that I wanted to. You know, I'm doing a lot of gigs and enjoying it, but without any future planning, forward thinking of how and why I'm investing my time in this activity. For what purpose? What do I want to get back from it? Where do I want it to go? Why am I spending my time this way? If I don't know the answer to that question, if I haven't given myself the destination, I have no hope of reaching it, right? If I don't know where I'm going, how can I get there? So I think that's an important the flip side to it. The other part of the equation, the other half is important to know. There's two aspects, right? It's investing your time in something that you feel is a valuable way to spend your time, right? Because it's your time ultimately, it's no one else's, it's yours. You choose how you spend it. No matter how much people want to push and pull or demand time of you or from you, it's still your call in how you spend it. No one can decide that for you, right? And when you make those decisions and how you're going to spend that time, you also have to understand, why are you spending your time in that way? What do you intend to get for your time? Is it just the experience? Is it to become more valuable in society? Is it to master something that you know will make an impact in the world? Is it legacy you're wishing to build? Are you trying to set a good example for your children? Are you just trying to make it through today and figure out where you go tomorrow? It's one of those things, right? Your reason's going to be different to mine. Now, spending your time wisely and effectively takes discipline. And as I said, it's one of those things that you have to blow a little bit of it to know, so you've got an appreciation of the true value that it holds, right? Now, there's a million, every second it seems like, distractions and dopamine hits that want to rob you of your time. And this is important. If there's one thing that I want to stress to you guys today that I think can have a great impact and quickly, is do not let shiny things steal your time. Don't let them rob you, right? What's the true cost? Infinite scrolling down a timeline, watching videos of just obscure random things that don't improve the quality of your life, that don't improve the caliber of your mind, that don't give you hope or knowledge or connection or anything that brings further value to your life and enhances you so that you may in turn share that with others, is time spent poorly. What's the true cost? Infinite scrolling for hours on end. I know, I get caught in it too. It plays on our human emotions, right? It's a beast in itself. Now, you don't let others take your time from you, right? As I said earlier, it's us and us alone who determine how our time is spent. So we have no one else to blame. We have to be disciplined and mature enough and experienced enough to see the true costs of how we spend our time, right? It's our choice to make. And when you're protective of your time, you can do far more with it than you ever imagined possible, right? We all know someone that is either directly or indirectly who seems extremely successful and manages to be almost superhuman with their abilities and use of their time and how they achieve so much, and they just seem to have it all, right? Those people are the exact same as you and I. They just are better at spending their time. They're effective, right? I guarantee you they don't waste time scrolling through social media, watching, videos of like goats, jumping around or like people, fighting or being aggressive or, the stuff that's not useful to your life, right? The things that always grounds me and brings me back down to earth and gives me that recognition, sometimes that slap in the face that I need when I think like I've got too much going on, is every single one of us has the same 24 hours in a day. Every single one of us. No one has more of a head start than anyone else, right? That's the true level playing field, is the time that we all possess. Now, we don't know how much time we have left on this planet. Each of us has a different timeline, but every day that we're granted is the same 24 hours for every one of us, right? Who could you become? How are you going to spend your time? Let me know. Put it in the comments below. What do you plan to do with your time tomorrow? What's the most effective way that you're going to spend your time? What do you want to get from your time? Right? What's your ambition? Don't squander it. Don't waste it. Okay? All right. And at the end of this, ultimately, this is how you become the most effective and productive and best valued version of yourself. And you can have anything you want if you learn how to spend your time wisely, because time invested well brings back more time and freedom for you and your family. All right, guys, thank you for being here. This is Wade Vincent. I hope this one has been useful to you. And until next week, who could you become? All right, guys, I'll talk to you again soon. Okay.